One beloved station, Radio Cayman.
The voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today's Monday, the 15th day of August, 2022, here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you are a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And I want to take this opportunity to remind you that For the Record birthday shout-outs are proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randall Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. They remind you, don't take chances with your family's future. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. And I just want to mention that yesterday, here in Grand Cayman, and in particular Georgetown, we put another Caymanian icon to rest, Mrs. Emily Louise Seymour, 90 years old, who passed away. A really, really iconic person on Shedden Road, right on the corner of Mary Street and Shedden Road. And prior to that, when she lived with her mother, Miss Louise Llewellyn Nee Anderson, she right there at the roundabout on Gorin Avenue as well. So we have lost another icon, a stylish one as well, style icon, and condolences again go out to her family and friends. For those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility, here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Ort Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. We may change the format slightly this morning, but when we do open up the phone lines, we want to remind you that you can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord@candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925 3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Again, I want to remind you that For the Record, birthday shoutouts proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randall Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. They remind you, don't take chances with your family's future. So who's celebrating a birthday today? We know Mr. Nicholas DaCosta celebrating a birthday today. Also, Mr. Al Ebanks, I believe that would be Al Ebanks, the artist celebrating, and Mr. Nicholas DaCosta. I'll let my guests speak more about him as well. So, folks, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Deputy Premier, Honorable Chris Saunders, Minister for Finance, and other ministers as well. Won't risk naming all of them, but we also have the pleasure of having in the studio with us this morning Minister J. Ebanks, who has responsibility for planning, agriculture, housing, and infrastructure. And we will be joined also by Minister, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister for Tourism and Transport. He will be joining us as well. So, gentlemen, good morning. Starting with you, Minister J. Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Thank you for having me. Good morning, Grand Cayman, and a special good morning to my people in Northside.
Okay. Deputy Premier.
Morning, OC. Morning. Great to be back 2 weeks in a row now. So
right, yes.
I'm actually enjoying it and brought more company this morning, so looking forward to Minister J and Minister Bryan, who's on his way here this morning. I think it should be quite interesting.
Okay, so Nicholas DaCosta is celebrating a birthday today.
Yeah, Nick has actually been doing very, very well, I must say. So he has fit in really well. He has been a great addition to the team, and he's been doing some good work, especially on the caucus side of things. So, Nicholas, happy birthday. And you couldn't get the best birthday present because there's no caucus today. So
gets a break.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you promised us when you were here last that you would be back in the studio, and here you are.
Yeah, OC, morning again. And the main thing I wanted to touch on this morning, because we have the census coming out now. The census came out. And one of the things for us now is taking information from that and actually converting that to policy, things that we can do to actually make our people's lives better. As I said last week, when we were speaking about, especially on the food security side and agriculture, one of the things that we are looking at is basically trying to get more opportunities and so forth on the agricultural side, not only from a food security standpoint, but also from a health security standpoint. And I did say last week I didn't want to take Minister J's thunder because he has been working extremely hard. He won't say it, but I will say it. Because this man keeps some hours, and the toll that he has in terms of even the traveling, it has taken its own toll, especially in his family life and everything else. But nonetheless, we can start seeing some of the benefits of what he's been. So with that, I would just ask Minister J just to kind of touch on briefly some of the stuff he has been working on. And so forth, and just kind of get the people an heads up in that regard.
Okay.
Thank you, DP. As you all know, a few weeks ago I was in Jamaica, so we went to Jamaica to visit some of the farms that we were up there with, and actually had a great opportunity to, visit their agriculture show, the Dinbay show, which was very nice. We had a lot to take back from that show to learn and be able to carry to make our show a lot better, but also it was great to actually have the members from the society over with us too, so that they could actually get a visual to see a lot of what Jamaica is doing, because Jamaica is advanced a lot further ahead of us and when it comes to agriculture. And what we said is that instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, why don't we try to just copy off of some of these guys that have already went through the years and decades of getting that sorted out. So one of the big things for us in agriculture is we want to see is trying to push more hydro farming, container farming in this country here, because that is actually the way to go. You can actually do that in any backyard, right on the beach side, anywhere. You don't have to worry about the right piece of land for it.
Yes.
and that is the cleanest way to actually farm. And we can actually, there's certain products that we can actually grow in these containers that we can actually sustain ourselves. The island can sustain itself. There is, I had the opportunity to visit one here in Grand Cayman that is actually working very well, and I won't call the individual name, but he's actually in the Prospect area. He'll know who it is.
Spots Newlands.
Yes, Spots Newlands.
yes.
And
that's an amazing project.
It is an amazing project, and I am 100% behind him and with his project. And I know he's at the stage now where he wants to expand. And we were talking about the products that he actually grew in there. And I'm telling you, it is as fresh as it can get.
Yes, and stays fresh for a long time. I had the opportunity to sample some of it.
Well, that's great, because you'll know then that I ain't telling no lie when I tell you how fresh it really is.
Yes.
So, there's a few little hiccups in his way that he just wants us to sort it out. But I'm going to speak to the Deputy Premier today about that, and hopefully we can get those started out for him for his expansion to go forward. And I think it's individuals like these that want to get into the farm to take that deep dive into the farming. But one thing with farming is banks don't recognize it as a job. Everybody looks at it as a hobby kind of a way, and that's one of the biggest problems that we have in farming. So between myself and the Deputy Premier and then other colleagues, we need to put our heads together to find out how we're actually going to be able to get loans to them to be able to help these people to be able to push their farming in the right direction. One of the other things that I'm working on is the farm lease policy, where the land that I know you guys may be aware that land probably was purchased from Mr. Kirk Tibbetts' days in East End, and we did nothing with it. So we have the farm lease policy that is actually coming out very shortly, getting ready to go to Cabinet, and then hopefully we can actually start to lease these properties out in 1 acre lots to farmers, because there's so many people that want to get into farming, and the more people we can actually push into farming, the better it is for us to be able to sustain ourselves on it. One thing I found after Grace was a lot of people lost their planting trees. So all of the planting trees kind of came back at one time, cropped at one time.
Yes,
so the market got really overflooded. So it shows us that if the market got that flooded by that one crop coming in at one time, that means we're almost close to, if we start to produce more, we can actually sustain ourselves. We just need to make sure we figure out the time frames where it comes into. So, there's great things going on in agriculture when it comes to the farming. We're going to be pushing a lot more. Our excavator that the farmers have been asking for is actually on the sea, coming direction here now. So the farmers will have their own excavator and a jackhammer, which is one of the main costs of prepping the property, right? And we're actually also working on it and putting in some farm roads throughout the island, in East and in the north side also. As quickly as we can try to get it done, but we'll work along with the DOE with that also.
Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will introduce Minister Kenneth Bryan in the studio as well. Folks, please stay tuned. The conversation with the Deputy Premier, Honorable Chris Saunders, Minister with responsibility for planning, agriculture, housing, and infrastructure, Honorable J. Ebanks, and the Minister for Tourism and Transport, Honorable Kenneth Bryan, will continue, so please stay tuned.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
During the first quarter period of the 1800s, Cayman society underwent major changes, namely with regards to slavery. Between 1800 and 1834, Caymanian slaves nearly doubled from 545 to 985. As time went on, a small but growing number of Caymanian slaves bought or were granted their freedom, which permitted them to be formally married and to own slaves themselves. In March 1809, Miss Elizabeth Jane Trusty bought her freedom for £5. As a free woman, Miss Trusty would go on to prosper and build a household in Georgetown. While she was not a dedicated abolitionist, Trusty would go on to free 5 more slaves in her life, including presumably her own children who had been born into slavery.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Register. Get your clues. Start your engines. Find the answers. The Rotary Central Gumball Car Rally is back. Exciting questions, exciting answers, exciting prizes for rally car theme, rally preparation, rally spirit, gumball rally accuracy, and more. Same day registration, 11:30 a.m. Start line Cricket Square. Start time 12:30 p.m. Saturday, September 17th. Find Gumball Rally finish line and win. Space is limited. Pre-register now. Only $125 per entry. Up to 4 persons per rally car. Email rotarycentralky@gmail.com. The Rotary Central Gumball Car Rally. A fun event, not a race event. Rotary. All the good you imagine.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Hi, I'm life insurance agent Michael Webster.
And I am Randy Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center.
Proud sponsors of the birthday shoutouts on For the Record.
Whether you're another year older or just a year wiser,
making sure your family is protected is a pretty wise choice. I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
and I am Randy Lawson at 322-2145. Give us a call today to find out how you can better secure your family's future.
Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Honourable J. Ebanks, Honourable Kenneth, Bryan, and Deputy Premier Honourable Chris Saunders. Before I throw the mic back over, since we're still in the birthday greetings section, we're told that Davian Thomas is celebrating a birthday today, and Carrington Green will be celebrating a birthday tomorrow as well. Deputy Premier, over to you, sir.
Yeah, no, just two things I wanted to touch on. OC is earlier Minister J was talking about the products that stay fresh from an agricultural standpoint. That is important for us in the sense that it allows people, once they basically buy these produce, to actually keep it much longer. So as a result, their money go much further. Yep. And that's one of the reasons why even going to like Central America and so forth, making those deals, is that once the ship comes here, because it makes no use of the ship pass here, go to North America only for us to basically go there and buy it. So we lose a lot of freshness, lose a lot of bang for the buck. So it's actually one of the good things. And then I'm pleased to say to him on the banking side is that I met with the board already, and my ministry is actually getting ready to prepare a RFP. We're actually looking at going back to the basics in terms of really developing the Cayman Islands Development Bank. As you know, your listeners would be aware. Before it was CIDB, it was the AIDB, Agricultural Industrial Development Board. And the thing is one of the things that they have been tasked with is going back to look at loans specifically for farmers, where for the first 3 years or so, they basically no payment, then only interest only for maybe 2 years, and then principal and interest, after maybe year 4 or 5, that kind of stuff. So it's one of the things that we're looking at, because we do recognize that crops don't grow quickly. But I know we come with the 8 o'clock news, and I know there's something that Minister J wants to touch on briefly.
Yeah, thank you for that, DP. That is very helpful. I know the farmers will be excited today to know that just hearing that I would consider breaking news, knowing that you hold that the banks will soon have some money that can be able to help the farming industry. But I know you touched on the South America trip too, and we did go down to South America and be able to explore down there where some of the merchants that were here went down with us. And one good thing I can say is that some of the aggregate from that's already coming to the island that came out of that fruition of that trip that's here. And my team is actually working shortly right now to get a ship pinned down that's going to be coming once a week from Honduras to here, which will... A small ship is, I think they said it would be somewhere around about 40 containers it can carry to start off with, just to see how viable the route will be. And the shippers committed to up to a year, I understand, to get it going. And if everything works out, he'll expand and go in a little bit further with that. But we can get a lot of products from that direction. I know, some merchants may say it's a waste of time. Some may say it's a reinventing the wheel. And I've been congratulated by a lot of the ministers from before in the past have told me that they have tried to get that shipping route open, and there's always that one stumbling block that's always gets in the way, whether it was some people that are just didn't want to see that lane open, or if it was something else that actually occurred. Why? But we are pushing ahead with it, and my team has almost got it ready. And I must say that there's a smaller vessel that comes in here that brings 1 or 2 containers at a time right now, but it's not suffice enough, right? Mm-hmm. But there are people that are actually in the market that is actually, written to us, spoken to us, seen us, and said they are ready to go to Honduras to get stuff from that direction. And I can tell you the prices down there, from what I have seen, has blown my mind compared to anywhere else in the world. I can tell you that. And one thing I can say is that South America isn't starving. I can tell you that part. Their grocery stores are rammed, full stocked with some of the freshest stuff that I've seen in there.
You know, we'll see. One of the things, and I'll say it because Minister Bryan won't say it, but he has been doing a lot of work. And one of the things I really want to congratulate him on publicly, I've said it before when we were doing the cabinet results, looking at in cabinet with the financial results up to the half-year mark, is that because of the Omicron virus, we had a late start in tourism. And to see where the numbers are now, both on the government revenue and contribution, I really want to thank Minister Bryan for the work that he has been putting in. I mean, he has been putting in some serious things. I've seen him in action, and honestly, the country is well represented. The seeing him sometimes give me cold chills. I mean, see where he's coming from and where we're coming from. But I'm not gonna take his thunder. I'll leave him to speak about his stuff that he's been working on. But I just wanted to publicly say to him, thanks for the work that he has done, because it's beginning to show in our financial results and our economic activity.
Okay, over to you, Mr. Bryan.
Thank you, Jose. Good morning, Cayman Islands, including Cayman Brac. Don't you ever forget that. And a special good morning to Georgetown Central. I want to say thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Premier. But no necessary thanks for me. This is a PAC government. We work together. We discuss things. Sometimes get heated, but we try to make the best decisions we think possible for the people. And thank God the numbers are starting to reflect that. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I know we're going to go into the news pretty shortly, so I'll be quite brief in my opening remarks. It's good to be back, just fresh off a flight from Jamaica, as we had some regional conversations, but also to congratulate the good people of Jamaica for their 60th anniversary of having their own path. During that brief visit, myself and the Honorable Deputy Premier had some good visits with some officials over there. I know he will speak on his side about the Labour as well as the Honorable Prime Minister, which he led the charge on. My goal there was to speak with the Minister, Edmund Bartlett, about some very important topics that are coming up, particularly that of the Caribbean Tourism Organization Council of Ministers meeting, which is going to be held here in the Cayman Islands, with me as the host minister and the Cayman Islands as the host country. And there's some potential developments for tourism in our region. So we had to have some discussions about how that's going to work, our panel discussions and the topics, and see where the benefits are for the Caymanian people, because that's who we work for. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of discussions, some three main areas that came up, and I look forward to exercising and talking about that in dialogue with the people after we come back from the news. But I just want to add, and to the listening public, that we've been working really hard. We haven't come out on the radio very much, but as you can tell from the three ministers or the two ministers and the Honorable Deputy Premier in the room, that a lot of work has been going on, and we're hoping that the rest of the next year will start to show the numbers and the proof in the pudding, because we obviously had to start kind of short in respect to the pandemic. Now that we're getting past that, and I don't want to break any news on here, but hopefully we'll have some more news to announce this week in respect to COVID matters that me as Minister for Tourism will be really, really happy about. But that being said, to our good caucus secretary, our new appointed caucus secretary, Mr. Nicholas DaCosta, happy birthday, big guy. And all those who are sharing a birthday today, may God bless you, and you have many, many more to come. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Minister Bryan, for that. Folks, we've reached that time, top of the hour, the 8 o'clock news, when we return the conversation with Minister J. Ebanks, Minister Kenneth Bryan, and Deputy Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honourable Chris Saunders. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
All right, class, pay attention. School is back in session, and it's time to get back to school ready with Foster's.
Foster's is embracing school spirit with all the essentials like backpacks, stationery, lunch kits, and more.
And online, treat yourself to our useful back-to-school lunch ideas at livewell.fosters.ky to turn fresh and healthy into full and focused.
And any parents hoping to spend more time at home, there's always fresh delivery from Foster's Go.
Think you got all of that? We'll test you on it later.
Get ready for a great fresh start with Foster's.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings
Radio Cayman.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The government's plan to overhaul services for the most vulnerable in the Cayman Islands has taken a leap forward with the introduction and publication of the Financial Assistance Bill 2022. The bill will define the functions of the department, currently the Needs Assessment Unit, and its duties. It confirms who's eligible for government's financial assistance, namely Caymanians, spouses of Caymanian, or guardians of a Caymanian dependent, all of whom must be resident on island during the time of application. It also adopts a more holistic approach to individuals who are receiving government's financial assistance, including the introduction of conditions that will be attached, in particular for households with adult members who are able to work. It also builds in necessary transparency and accountability for decisions, including dealing with grievances and a new appeals tribunal, as well as the protection of personal information. Upon commencement of the legislation, the name of the Needs Assessment Unit will be renamed the Department of Financial Assistance. And the call continues for folks to register for the upcoming Caribbean Aviation Day Conference taking place right here in the Cayman Islands. As part of the event, Minister for Tourism, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, says he will also be hosting the Caribbean Tourism Organization's business meeting and youth conference.
After 2 years of enduring challenges brought on by the global pandemic, my colleagues and I, the Ministers of Tourism from around the Caribbean, and senior aviation officials will be working to identify how to rebuild a more competitive transport sector.
Under the theme Recover, Reconnect, Revive, participants will address topics ranging from aviation sustainability, multi-destination tourism, needed investments in the region's infrastructure, and the importance to implement global regulatory best practices while reducing aviation-related fees and taxes. To register, you can head to events.bizabo.com/CaribbeanAD. In regional news, gunfire and a subsequent explosion left at least 5 people dead, 15 injured, and several others missing, as well as damaging homes in an Ecuadorian port city. On its Twitter account, Ecuador's prosecutor's office said its agents were gathering evidence to establish the cause and motive for the attack. The Interior Minister tweeted that organized crime in Ecuador is now attacking with explosives. Sunday's violence is, quote, a declaration of war against the state. Either we unite to face it or the price will be even higher for society, he wrote. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Hundreds of Taliban fighters have been celebrating in a central square in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul, to mark the first anniversary of seizing power. In the southern city of Kandahar, the Taliban spiritual home, armed fighters and their supporters paraded up and down a central road in vehicles captured from the previous Afghan government. Myanmar's ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been sentenced to 6 more years in prison for corruption. Ms Suu Kyi was accused of abusing her position to rent public land at below market prices and to divert funds meant for charitable causes to build a residence. Ms Suu Kyi denied all the charges. Reports from Ukraine suggest that the local headquarters of a mercenary force loyal to Moscow has been hit by an artillery attack and possibly destroyed. The Wagner Group has been supporting Russian troops in the east. Britain has become the first country to approve a COVID-19 vaccine which targets both the original and Omicron variants of the virus. A spokesman for Britain's medical regulator described it as a sharpened tool in our armoury against the disease. The Israeli military says they've disrupted an attempt by the militant group Hamas to dig a tunnel crossing into Israel from the northern Gaza Strip. No details were given about how the tunnel was put out of action. China has launched fresh military drills off Taiwan in response to a visit to the island by a group of American legislators. Chinese warplanes flew to within 50 kilometres of the main island. Activists in Bangladesh have urged the UN Commissioner for Human Rights to end what they call gross human rights abuses in the country, including extrajudicial killings and disappearances. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Bordentown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Bordentown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
On the road again. Boss, I broke down on the road, you know. The truck looked like an Optimus Prime barbecue.
In this heat? Not surprised. But we need to get this cargo moving. Let's get the truck into Superior Auto pronto.
When your trucks go down, Superior Auto is the team to get you back up. Reliable, quality-trained technicians who value your time and aim to get your trucks back in service so you can continue to be of service to your customers. Specializing in complete Isuzu, Hino, and other models of delivery box trucks and its repairs, including computer diagnostics, mechanical, and body repair. Superior Auto, 525-9571 or 949-9570. Keep on trucking with Superior Auto.
Can you tell me what does a turtle do on his birthday? He celebrates.
Celebrate your loved one's special birthday with a birthday shout-out live on For the Record with Mr. Oret Connor, only on Radio Cayman. WhatsApp your loved one's name and age to 925-3261. That's 925-3261. Radio Cayman's birthday shout-outs live on For the Record with Mr. Oret Connor every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randy Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. Don't take chances with your family's future. The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? No, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Britcade. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
Good morning. Time now to take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 80%. The barometric pressure is 29.93 inches and rising. The wind is out of the southeast at 3 knots. Overnight low temperature was 79 degrees. Synopsis indicate light winds and slight seas are expected over the next 24 hours due to a weak pressure gradient across the Cayman area. Radar images show a few scattered showers around the Cayman area moving west. The forecast for today calling for fair to partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures will rise to the upper 80s with a heat index of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. And the forecast for tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will fall to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 knots or less, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. High tide will be this afternoon at 10 minutes past 12. Low tide again this evening at 3 minutes after 6. The sun will set this evening at 6:52 and will rise tomorrow morning at 7 minutes after 6. And the outlook is calling for an increase in cloudiness and showers from Wednesday morning as a tropical wave moves across the Cayman area.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Britcay. Good like that.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving your goals is a very rewarding feeling, but at times can feel very frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting goals, adjust as necessary. When goal setting, anticipate ups and downs. Often it will be easier to stick to some goals than others, so allow yourself to have some flexibility in your approach and assessment. Continue to dream and adjust the end game to maintain interest and motivation. Ask yourself, is this really my goal? If it is a goal imposed by others, then consider what may be in it for you. Why would you do this? There is always the option not to do it. Figure out why you're doing it and then go for it.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning. Let's take a look at traffic. Busy traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. And as we look to the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, traffic also busy coming off the Esterly Tibbetts Highway and continuing on North Sound Road. Looking at downtown Georgetown on Edward Street, traffic is light to moderate. And on Shedden Road, traffic is flowing moderately and also coming from the West Bay four-way stop. Little busy traffic coming from the east on Cool Road heading to Georgetown. And the eastbound traffic on Cool Road is moving along swiftly. As we look to Rex Crichton Boulevard and Shamrock Road, traffic is steady but flowing. And little steady traffic on the Linford Pearson Highway and coming off of Agnes Way, traffic is steady but flowing. If you see any accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman 949-6990. Traffic on Godfrey Nixon Way heading towards the traffic lights is moving along moderately. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach. The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Cistern water designated for the purposes of drinking, cooking, and bathing must be disinfected before use after a hurricane. Simply leave the water for 1 minute after it begins to boil, or to disinfect with bleach, add 3 ounces of chlorine bleach to every 1,000 gallons of water. A residual bleach smell is an indicator that the water has been properly disinfected. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who enjoy the Top Gun movie, and I believe there's a new version that came out a few years ago, well, right here in the studio this morning, we have Top Guns. Not Top Gun, but Top Guns in the studio with us this morning in the person of Minister J. Ebanks, Minister Kenneth, Bryan, and Deputy Premier Honorable Chris Saunders. Gentlemen,
you ever have 3 ministers in at one time yet?
Not in a long time. I can't remember when. That is so true. I don't think we've ever had that. No, so this is a first.
No, I think Minister Bryan was saying some stuff just before we went to the break, and they wanted to complete this train of thought.
Sure.
In that regard.
So thanks again, DP. I think it was important that we highlight the most recent trip and what our goals and aspirations were on that trip. And mainly for me as tourism minister, I think the public may know by now, or they should, if my team has been doing the marketing well enough, is that Cayman is going to be doing the IATA conference, my apologies, hosting the IATA conference in September from the 12th to the 15th. That's about just under a month away from now. As a result, we're going to have all the Caribbean ministers of tourism from across the region here in the Cayman Islands discussing some very important matters. Post-COVID, so our tourism product was affected heavily, and everybody knows that. Everybody's trying to come back from it. And some of the things that have come up that are important for us to address is the travel in between the Caribbean islands is becoming more and more difficult for tourists to get to our destination. If they ain't coming, the money isn't coming. So obviously one of the lead tourism ministers, Mr. Ed Bartlett, being in the game longer than most, matter of fact, I think he's the longest serving tourism minister at the moment, is leading the charge on this theory and strategy of multi-destinational travel. Basically meaning that tourists can come to one Caribbean island and go to another quite easily and have potential border provisions or requirements that are easier for them to travel in between the islands. Now that theory and that strategy, though it comes with benefits, comes with difficulties to overcome, because every jurisdiction has their own laws and guidelines as to entry. The reason for us going, though, as the Cayman delegation, was to focus on what benefits were available for the Caymanian people. Now, we have a very strong tourism product as it is, unlike some other jurisdictions in the region who's trying to get a bigger boost. So it's not as beneficial to us as much as it is to others. But what was beneficial to the Cayman Islands is the fact of the air travel. As you know, or most people may not know, but the Caribbean only has 5 current regions that actually have their own national flag carrier, being Trinidad with Caribbean Airlines, Guadeloupe with their Air Caribes, the government one that we own, Cayman Airways, and Bahamas Air, as well as the Panama-based Copa Airlines. So those are the only 5 airlines within the region, and the routes from a hub and spoke perspective are not enough, and we're having a lot of people who can't travel from one island to the other, which is affecting the tourism product. So with us having a national flag carrier and the 4 amazing planes that we have, which is a 737-800 MAX, we're not getting enough value out of those planes.
What do you want the Saabs do?
As well as the Saabs, by them being on the ground so often. If I can put it like this, for instance, think of it, you had a truck, a towing truck. The more money you make out of that truck when you buy it brand new, it has to be constantly doing deliveries, right, to get the value out of it. And we're not maximizing the value of these amazing planes that we have. So
they're designed to fly, not to be on the ground.
Exactly, exactly. So Cayman Airways, I took one of the directors or one of the board members, Mr.
Chris Bergstrom.
Chris Bergstrom. I can't
Very
remember
good guy. Very impressed with him.
Very impressed. He was there to speak on behalf of Cayman Airways and what options could be discussed in the event it didn't come to me naturally as minister. And we were saying, okay, the theory that Minister Bartlett is trying to get the rest of the Caribbean ministers to buy into, if that came to fruition, which will be discussed on the 15th here at our panel discussion, both him and I are on the panel. We talk about multi-destination travel, what the benefits are to the region, to each individual country, what the hurdles are, what can we do to get over them. So we want to go there and investigate, forget about whether it actually develops. But if it does develop, where does Cayman Airways fit within that puzzle? Because we've seen situations where the charter flights from Grand Cayman to Barbados, because there's no flight within that region to the eastern, to the western.
There's no Liat anymore.
There's no more, exactly.
Yes,
there's no more Liat. So we have an opportunity to have our national flag carrier become a beneficiary of this theory. Going back to the tourism perspective now, we see that Minister Bartlett has had some major agreements with some big players in respect to the airline business, from Doha in Qatar, from the Arab Emirates in Dubai, to Jeddah in Riyadh. I can't remember, but the 4 main carriers in the eastern and the Northern Africa, as well as the Asian Emirates, which are some big money people, pretty straight up. And that's the niche market that we cater to as a country, because we're a very high-end jurisdiction. So with Minister Bartlett's ability to negotiate with them to come into Jamaica and then spread out to the Caribbean, there's an opportunity for Cayman. We can get a lot of that big money spenders in the Cayman Islands. And we already have a strong relationship with Jamaica, with flights into Kingston and Montego Bay, again, just recently announced. So we want to go and investigate that and see what the benefits are for the country, for the airline, and for our tourism numbers. Now, those discussions, we still have to get some data and reports to see whether or not we're going to go into this, because in order for this to work, and I'm so glad that Honorable Deputy Premier was there with me, with his team, that we were there together with his team, because there was discussions about border control that had to be discussed, like visa. There was discussions about a tourism permit, a tourist permit, to be able to say, for example, if you went to St. Kitts, you can fly from St. Kitts to Cayman and be able to freely move from one place to the other. But again, as I said before, there's a lot of technicalities to that and discussions that would have to be held first. And if everybody's in agreement, you work those out after with the ministers like the Honorable Deputy Premier in respect to the control of the borders and the visa situation.
So the overall concept you discuss, and then the finer details, you work those out later.
Yes. And when that will be worked out and discussed mainly is actually at this conference in September, where all the ministers will come together, and we'll be discussing that as members of the CTO, which is the Caribbean Tourism Organization. So hopefully we'll see, particularly for the Caribbean region and the tourism product moving forward, September month is a big, big month to know what direction we're going in. I'm happy to say that regardless if this happens or not, Cayman is doing a good job in respect to tourism. We're hoping to be back to where we were next year as we were before COVID. But I see the benefit of potentially getting into another little market, or increasing the numbers, as well as the benefit to our national flag carrier, Cayman Airways.
Yeah, we'll see. Just to kind of just put something in context, and I think for your listeners to understand, and your viewers, I think people are online watching. One of the biggest competitors to Caribbean tourism is Florida. Let's be realistic. They got a big coastline, they got sand, sea, and sun too. Within the Caribbean itself, the majority of our visitors come from the North American market. One of the things, most people, I think you go to the Carolinas each year for your vacation, and many Caymanians go to North America for their vacation also. And one of the reasons why we do end up going to North America is because that is what is within our price point in terms of cost. Because the cost of where you want to go, the cost of location factors in. We're not going to China, we're not going to Asia, because you're talking about $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 ticket. And especially if you're traveling with your family, all of a sudden you're going $10,000 in airfare. So there's only a certain amount of people that can actually vacation in certain places around the world. I say that all of that to say this. We also have to recognize that if the bulk of our tourists are coming from North America, and Florida is one of our biggest competitors, those people can either drive to Florida or they can basically fly to Florida very cheaply. So one of the things, and this is one of the points that we had made to the Jamaican government, is that for us, we took the decision from very early on that despite, of course, you want all entities to make a profit, we saw Cayman Airways as an economic accelerator. And the proof in the pudding for us in that is, one, you look at the year-round fares that we can get to Miami for $200-$300 round trip. Some parts of the Caribbean, they're not that lucky in terms of the same flying time. You know what I mean? Again, because they become 100% dependent on foreign carriers. We saw Cayman Airways as being integral to our economic survival, especially in the tourism front. And I can tell you, even the vibe that we got is that many people around the Caribbean, around the region, and I can tell it from our previous life, regret that they did not support their national airlines the way in which we did. Because as soon as their national airlines went, those American carriers came in and say, well, you know what, this route ain't profitable. I know these guys have to be turning around in some cases and paying $1 million a year to them just to maintain jet service. So for us, we've always seen it as an economic accelerator. But coming back to the Florida point, the whole idea that we recognize is that if Florida is a competitor for us coming into the Caribbean, and for us, as we said, we're about what is beneficial to Cayman, is that how then can we compete with getting to Florida as a destination? So in that situation, then, we don't mind if we have to give up something on the seat if needs be, because we can make it back in economic activity. We can make it back in tourism accommodation tax. We can make it back in our people being employed, because we still have around several thousand Caymanians that are employed within the tourism industry that basically need to take care of their own family from a livelihood standpoint. So for us, that is really the genesis in which we want to look at. Now, we looked at Jamaica, for example. I mean, Jamaica do I think around 4 million visitors a year. I mean, their winter season alone, I think, is over 1 million seats that they carry within the high season. So for us, it's a matter of, okay, most Europeans like to vacation for 3 weeks. All right, no problem. Well, granted, they made us do 2 weeks, because within 2 weeks that they can do Jamaica. I don't expect Jamaica to send us business, but what we want to say to them is, okay, if we know they want to do 3 weeks, and they're doing 2 weeks with you, what can we do to get an extra week out of them? What can we do to say, well, you know what? Come over to Cayman Islands for that week. You do 2 weeks in Jamaica. Come over to Cayman for a week. You're already on this side of the world anyway. You know what I mean? So it's about that from that standpoint to see what it is that we can do in terms of, we're lucky in the sense that because we have that connectivity between Jamaica and ourselves. Yes. You know, how can we actually work something like that out? You know what I mean? And I think that from that standpoint, and I think they themselves was willing to recognize that, rather than, you do 2 weeks and someone go back, give Cayman the extra week. Let us make it worth your week to come over here, for a week. You know what I mean? And I think that will go much further in terms of even boosting our own tourism numbers.
Okay, good point for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamp Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
J and Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J and Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J and Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable J and Money. J and Money, touching down again. J and Money, ranga to la friend.
So much happening, so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my healthcare instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
Breitling watches are defined by quality, innovation, and style, and you have the chance to win one in August during Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary sweepstakes. Each month, lucky shoppers have the chance to win a piece of jewelry or a watch from luxury brands. Every purchase of $100 at any Kirk Freeport store gains you entry into the monthly drawing, so stop in today. Next up, September's prize is the Chopard Happy Dreams bracelet. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Minister J. Ebanks, Minister Kenneth Bryan, and Deputy Premier and Minister of Finance, etc., Honorable Chris Saunders. I must say they're all honorable ministers, as well. One of our listeners has sent a WhatsApp message and wanted to know why does it cost more to travel to Jamaica than, say, Miami, and if during the course of your conversation, if you could address that, certainly. Just want to let our listening audience and viewing audience know as well that the ministers are amenable to taking telephone calls as well. When you call in, we ask you to please be brief, ask your question, and then, if possible, hang up so that you can listen to the response as well. Minister Bryan?
I'm going to be quick, because the Deputy Premier has some other matters in labor he wants to deal with. But the simple answer is the taxes in Jamaica from the Jamaican government is what makes them more expensive than other jurisdictions.
Okay. So. Got you.
Yeah, they break it. When they went to balance the budget, they did that. One of the things that we want to touch on to OC is that while we're in Jamaica, we also met with the Honorable Carl Samuda, who is the Minister for Labour and Social Security in Jamaica, and also the team from HEART. We have heard about the HEART Trust in Jamaica, and I can tell you, having met with them, we were deeply impressed, and we can understand exactly why they have such a vibrant program that has done extremely well for basically 40 years this year. One of the things that we are looking at now is to see what it is that we can do in terms of working closer with them, in terms of setting up a similar vocational program in Cayman that will offer global certification for people. Ultimately, Minister Bryan team was there firsthand also to kind of get a firsthand view in the sense of, is industry will also benefit from this level of labor and everything else? So that's one of the things that we definitely, but it was really an eye-opener for us in some of the stuff that they're actually doing. And we're looking forward now to moving that to the next step to get an MOU in place to say exactly how it is. But what they have done in terms of encouraging their people for vocational training and everything else was just nothing phenomenal. And if there's one thing that I learned on this trip is, when people used to always have this saying, not everybody can be doctors, lawyers, accountants. The other flip side of the saying is, and who do you think those people work for? Who do you think they work for?
Yes, yes.
Because I can tell you what, if you can find a plumber right now, and when we're listening to Jamaica themselves having serious construction shortages themselves, that they're now actually looking at copying our work permit. Because I think their unemployment now is down to their single-digit numbers now.
First time.
Yeah, that they're actually looking at our work permit regime to say exactly what it is that they can learn from us, because they're now looking at that point where they may have to.
Skilled workers.
Yeah, so it is one of the things that we are, because there are global shortages in terms of skilled workers, and our job right now is to get as much as our people upskilled and everything else, and in the quickest and most cost-effective way.
Okay, we have 3 callers queued up. I'm going to say to each caller, please either make your statement, pose your question, and then hang up for the response as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C. Good morning to all your guests, including all your ministers that are there. Congratulations for coming on the air.
Morning.
It was desperately needed, and we couldn't get to you one way, so we had to find another way to get to you.
Good morning, ma'am.
I got to make it as brief and fast as I can. I can take my time to clear it so I make sure I go right. First of all, yes, we need more tourists. We need more tourism. But we need to make sure that we are structuring them, because as we can see, especially from that same jurisdiction you were talking to, we are getting people that are coming in here that are murderers. And we do not know, because we do not have a proper fingerprinting system or depot that we can, and we'll see know where I'm coming from, that we can actually screen those people. They are coming in here, and we do not know who they are. Some of them are the biggest criminals. And not just a jurisdiction. I don't want to say just more than that one. But we got them all. The world got all of them. So we got them coming from all over. A lot of those third world countries, that's what we get. That's what Cayman's getting to reject. So we need to make sure that when we are bringing in those people, because there's 2 particular companies, I'm not going to call no names, so they can say I'm calling names, that are hiring these people while they're on the island. And the law says that as you come as a visitor, you're not allowed to have a permit while on your visit. You're supposed to leave the jurisdiction. And I know for a fact that there's people there that's here that only came in one time, and they was hired within a period of time with that particular company the next week. So I'm not going to call no names. So we need people that are going, if you're going to do that, we need people that are going to scrutinize our borders properly. If we do not have nobody there that is professional enough to do it, or because their personal interest, we need to shut it down till we fix it. Because once we open that border, it's going to be very hard for us once money starts coming in. And the Bible says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not the money that is evil, it's the people that love it. So we need to fix it. And because this morning, when I was coming down from the Eastern District, when I got in front of the airport, I seen a gentleman. I don't know what nationality he is, a dark complexion. He driving. I didn't get license plate number because it happened so quick. But it was a shame and disgrace. He got out of his vehicle, urinated on the side of the road in the big, broad day. And we know men do harm a shame, but at least came on out for that. And the big broad day, urinated, got back his car, not know what happened. That's not the kind of people we need in Cayman.
Very, very true. Caller, good morning. Again, this is Minister Bryan. I want to say thank you so much for that call, because you're 100% correct. We have to be very, very careful in our approach in respect to this. But I thought it was important that I step in to clarify something, because there's a difference between a tourism visa to visit than what you're talking about in respect to people from the various different islands coming to the other Caribbean islands. So this is more focused on the tourists. So for example, it's not a situation where you would be concerned of persons coming from Cuba to Cayman or Jamaica to Cayman or Mexico to Cayman that's within this region pocket of consideration. This is about persons coming from another jurisdiction. Say, for instance, from Europe, they came to Jamaica, then they can move from Jamaica to Cayman. So it's focused on the visitor from a tourism perspective, not on the worker. But I see your point, and this is something that the Honorable Deputy Premier, as responsible for border control, talked about with the Prime Minister. And I don't want to take away his position in thunder in that respect. But those were the top issues that he brought up to say, listen, if we have any consideration in this discussion of multi-destination tourism travel, we have to ensure that the protection of the people is a priority. And I think that's the basis upon which the commissioner meeting was established.
Yeah, one of the things that we just want to make perfectly clear, and Minister Bryan hit it straight, touches straight on top, is that we're talking about tourists coming. So we're talking about European visitors that are in Jamaica, and they're making it easier for them to come to Cayman. So this is just about straight tourism from that standpoint. What I can say is that with regards to the visa issue, I just want to clear the air right now, is that there is no intention at this time, and there were no even discussions at this time about removing the visa between the different countries. What I can say to you that is of major concern to us is actually our coastal, from a border control standpoint, in terms of developing other and working with the Jamaica government to develop other avenues. I don't want to get into those from a security standpoint to see how best we can literally protect ourselves. I'm not worried too much in terms of where technology and everything else is going. Those arriving by air and so forth, we can deal with, and we have enough relationship with enough international agencies to know exactly who's arriving on our shores from a biometric standpoint and everything else. What I'm more worried about is those who are not arriving legally on island, those who are coming in by the boats and everything else. I think those are the ones that provide a bigger threat to this country because, one, they're coming in, two, they're not clearing customs, and you can only guess what they're traveling with on those boats for their own protection and everything else. That is one of the things that we're more concerned about from a border control security standpoint. And what I can say is that the entire cabinet, and including the governor, to give Jack his jacket in that regard, it is one of the things that we do take serious. We just saw the recent reports where we had 3 persons who arrived on the island illegally, and of course they were aided and abetted by a person on a work permit that was here. And that was one of the things also that we got into with the commissioner concerning, and I'll say it because in terms of like the police records and the criminal database in Jamaica, without getting too much specific. So that's one of the things. But at the end of the day, people need to understand that when it comes on to securing our borders, this is not something that can be done in isolation. This is something that has to be done in cooperation, because at the end of the day, the people coming here are leaving from somewhere else. And our goal is to go to the somewhere else and say, okay, how can we work together to stop them there before they reach over here? So that is not something that we can do in isolation, and that is something that requires cooperation.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Minister. Let's see if we can grab one more caller before we go to the break. Ms. Susan, caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Hossein. Good morning to the Minister.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Morning. We're talking about agriculture and tourism. So why not investigate the Mexico trade in agriculture and tourism? And let me expound that a little bit. You have a lot of products. You go into the supermarkets here, pick up an item, look at it, and it says hecho in Mexico. That means made in Mexico. Why do we have to have it shipped to from Mexico to the U.S., then to here, and that kind of thing? That's added cost. Mexico has a lot of good products in agriculture. You have oranges, you have corn, you name it. And it's very reasonable. Also on the tourism, if you go into the city called Monterrey, you can fly there. They have big airport, massive. And you have the shops up there. You would say second to none. And the products are reasonable and good.
Okay, call. Sorry.
You can get that. Let's say a polo shirt for like $3 to $5. Come on.
Okay, we'll have the minister respond to you when we return from this commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Minister J. Ebanks, Minister Kenneth, Bryan, Deputy Premier, Honorable Chris Saunders. We have another caller on hold, but we want to give Minister Ebanks an opportunity to respond to the last caller.
I think it may be best if we just take the other caller and then he can, just in case it's to him again, he can respond after to all of them one time.
We can do that if you want as well. Let's grab the caller then. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, also to you and your partner.
Good morning, good morning.
Yes, sir. All right. I wanted to touch base on say a few things.
Okay, try to restrict it to one because we have other callers calling in, so we have a limited period.
Yes, sir. All right. I want to find out from the ministers there. Why is it that they, I don't know if it's them, have it in place or, you know, who got it, where unvaccinated people are not able to travel outside of the country without being vaccinated when everybody else can. You understand? And then the part about it, some people can go out if they get a letter or for a reason, and the others outright cannot go. They won't allow vaccinated people to go to America. And people who leave from here go to Jamaica and fly into America unvaccinated. So here is the problem. Travel Cayman or whoever it is that got it, or whichever minister or the government got it, they need to free up. They're talking about economic prosperity for our people, but yet you got our people holding down like as if we're prisoners. Another
caller, just to quickly answer that question, because it's a very, very important one. It has a lot to do with people's freedom of movement. Anybody who's unvaccinated leaving the Cayman Islands to go to any other jurisdiction, it's not the call of the Caymanian government. It is the call of the jurisdiction upon which they arrive in. So, for example, in the United States, we can't restrict a person from going to the United States because they're not vaccinated. It's against the law. It would be for the jurisdiction like the United States, which I don't think they haven't changed their requirement yet. But different countries are at different stages within their recovery from COVID. And after probably around the 9:30 mark, I'll be giving some announcements of some things that we're considering that will, I think, make you happy in this respect. I won't talk to them right now, but it's not the Cayman government that has those restrictions in place.
Yeah, I get you with that part, because even though you saying what you saying, I had friends and family that leave out here and did it. I know that for a fact, and this was in the last 2-3 weeks ago. I know this for a fact, sir. And another point where I'm saying to you, I always hear you all talking about economic prosperity. What a sense of economic prosperity that you all are doing in this country, business as usual, when are people not benefiting from it? Prime example, you're going to tell me now that you all got in office and you all know the situation with CUC. There's nobody that would get Jim Borden mentality to challenge and take CUC to court, because there's no way in God's name I could lock up my house from 8 to about 6 in the evening and come home. And that's more likely maybe about 22 times a month. You understand? And come every month. It's literally the same thing. And they're telling us that they're giving us a tax rate this month, but our bills is almost like gone up more than a quarter of what we normally would pay. I can't understand that. You all need to take things serious, and I know you all trying, but listen to me, you need to take bold approach. Either you're with the premier or you're not with him, and if he's not doing his part, remember now, 4 years' time, the people are watching and they're down. I be up in the streets and I hear people complaining and bawling. We all need to try work together for the betterment of our people. And this thing about you all reaching out and trying to spread, try to with our Caribbean partners and stuff, it's all good. But the problem, not so much of them. A lot of the problem is them far ones coming from further European countries. And when they come and they see how we live in, they don't want to leave. And I have to fix this thing that our Caymanian people are not outnumbered. And the more that you invite, the more come in here with that intention they don't want to go back. Mm-hmm. And security, you need to try to implement this fingerprint and stuff. And when it is a serious breach in this country, as you all say before, and it's been talked for years, you see that the coastline, the seaside, that's where our biggest threat is. And the Coast Guard thing that we have in this country, it's a joke thing. All they want to do is chase drug boats. They're not taking the other boat serious. You understand? And remember, there's a lot of illegal things coming right through our waters. Until when you all get that fixed, we will always have the problem with the ones that you all deported a couple of weeks ago, and them and many other ones from different countries. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Okay, Minister Jay, you want to give you an opportunity to respond to the call about Central America and in particular Mexico?
Yeah, OC, thank you. Just to speak back to that caller there, we did speak about the Mexico trading, and it is something that my team is looking at, actually going and trying to reach out to them, because I know there was some of the merchants that actually spoke about that. And actually the Premier himself brought that to my attention, that he thought it might be a viable option for us to look at too. But, one of the biggest things was coming out from there was actually getting a vessel from there directly to Cayman. And the easiest approach that we found was to actually get it out of Puerto Cortez down in Honduras, because there was vessels that actually went from Mexico down there, not only from there, but Panama and all the other South Americas actually go down to Puerto Cortez, which then could sail from there to Grand Cayman. So if there's anybody that's really, they don't have to go through the United States once we get this route open up, that'll actually be a second option of going that direction in there.
Okay, Deputy Premier, there was some issues on border control.
Yeah,
and,
well, first thing, just want to just clear the air on one thing. There are no requirements by the government to leave the country. As Minister Bryan said, there's no restriction on anybody on freedom of movement. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that the Constitution is clear in that regard, that basically guarantees people certain amount of freedom of movement. So I just want to make that clear. With regards to CUC, there are two aspects that we need to look at. And to give, again, credit where credit is due, the issue isn't CUC. Let's be realistic. The actual issue is the fuel costs. And members, people would have actually recall when we had a public accounts committee meeting, and we were looking at off-reg particular, and we touched on the fuel sector. We literally, and I'll say it, there was one company that came in on the fuel side that they could not explain $2.50 worth of CI costs. What I can say, and it's kind of ironic, you can actually, this is actually something that would have ESO actually working on that we send over to offering, so you actually get a preview of it, because one of the latest things that we're actually looking at. But what I can say on the issue of fuel, it is something that we are dealing with separately. I don't want to directly get into the details, but OC can actually see that is actually one of the documents we have actually been going through now, an exercise that we have been doing. And it's something that I'm actually working on to take to cabinet in that regard. But what I want to say is that this is exactly the reason why we're pushing more for renewables and everything else, is the simple fact that we can't be afford to be sending $200 million a year or thereabouts out of this country every year on fossil fuel when a lot of countries are moving towards renewables. Second, we recognize from long ago, from the issue started in February with regards to what was happening in Ukraine, that there would have been an issue with energy prices on island. And that's the reason why we took the decision from very early on that we would basically eat anything above, I think it's 15 cents in terms of the fuel factor. So over the next 3 months, the government will be spending around $5-6 million in terms of to actually keep people light bills down in that regard, because we do recognize that is something that cut into people's disposable income. And if they're paying more for electricity, they have less money for their food, less money to spend on their families and everything else. And that's the reason why we took that very hard decision. I'm not going to sit back and tell everyone that we are in the sweet financial position as there was pre-pandemic. I mean, this year alone, when we took office, we were supposed to lose $58 million. We were able to at least forecast at least a $20 million surplus. So we're going to lose $58 million this year. So it's a small surplus that we have. And we also got to recognize that, the hurricane season is still upon us. There are many things that can happen between now and during that time. So we literally have to hold back as much as we can. Last year when we came into office, we were projected to lose at least around $98 million in terms of deficit. When we looked at and added on other things in terms of stipend that wasn't included in that forecast and everything else, we were actually supposed to lose like over $133 million last year. And I think looking at the last numbers, that number was basically about maybe $20 million. But either way, it's $100 million less than what it should have been. So we are holding things tight. Now, when it comes on again to the border control, it is something. And I'm going to say right now, yes, the Coast Guard is in its infancy. It is not as established as other countries. But I can say right now, the men and women that are in the Coast Guard are working extremely hard and extremely motivated. And what I can say is that the fact that we are actually here having that discussion, even on border control, is that we do recognize that, again, it is the illegal landing in terms of those people who arrive on our shores without going through our ports legally is where the biggest threat is, because they're not clearing customs, you don't know what drugs they're bringing, you don't know what guns they're bringing, you don't know what else is that they're bringing. And equal at the other side, I mean, again, looking across the Caribbean, we already recognize that there are issues even between other Caribbean islands where basically guns are being traded for ganja and everything else. So it is not just a Caymanian problem, it is actually a regional problem, or I would say a global problem. And this again will require a certain amount of cooperation. So it is in our best interest to work with the Jamaican government in terms of what it is that we can do to even make sure that their coastlines, that they can pick up a lot of these people quicker too. I can say that when I think the Coast Guard was here probably about a month ago, the same as Capella around that time, the Coast Guard was here. Minister Turner, myself, and actually toured the ship, and we saw exactly what it is that the capabilities in terms of what it is now. Jamaica only have 4 of those ships, and Jamaica also have a very big coastline too. So it's about making a proper investment, and I can say to you as a minister responsible for border control, and luckily to some extent finance, is about actually now making the resources available to find the funds to actually protect our armed borders. And I can say in that regard, and Mr. Bryan reminded me earlier too, is that is one of the things, and again to give the governor his credit, that he has taken very, very seriously and has really taken a push on it in that regard. So again, we won't get there overnight, but I can guarantee you one day we will get there, and we're going to get there before, and hopefully very, very soon. One of the things I just want to touch on, OC. Okay.
We have about 30 seconds before we have to go
is on the issues of opportunities. Now, ultimately, our goal is to ensure that our people have equal opportunities. What we can guarantee is equal outcome. At the end of the day, hard work, dedication, and commitment does mean something. And that is our goal, is to basically prepare our people and give them as much opportunities as possible.
Excellent. Very quickly, I'm going to read this WhatsApp message. This person says, morning, why does work approve a work permit for a tourist? I think that was in relation to comment that was made.
So we can go prosecute them.
The person also says, I am also concerned about what the ministers are discussing covers a tourist and not a potential work permit holder. Glad Minister Bryan clarified that issue at that point as well. Folks, top of the hour, headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, I'm told that we have 3 callers queued up. I have a few emails as well that I want to share with our ministers. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government publishes the financial assistance bill. If passed, it will replace the Poor Persons Relief Act with a, quote, modern legislative framework, which will set the stage for more effective service, public finance accountability, and a bridge to self-sufficiency for able clients. Iran has, quote, categorically denied any link with Salman Rushdie's attacker, instead blaming the writer himself. 75-year-old Rushdie was left severely injured after being stabbed on stage in an event in New York State. He's now able to breathe unaided. He has faced years of death threats for his 1988 novel, The Satanic Verses. Earlier, the U.S. Secretary of State accused Iran's state media of gloating about the attack, calling its behavior, quote, despicable. And a new report says Ukrainian artillery has struck a headquarters of Russia's shadowy Wagner paramilitary group of mercenaries in eastern Ukraine. The attack was reported by the Ukrainian governor of the Luhansk region and several pro-Kremlin war reporters. The number of casualties is not clear and details remain sketchy. Photos said to show the damage were posted on the Telegram messaging service. Wagner has been linked to war crimes. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Before I hand the mic over to Minister Bryan, I just want to share email message that we got, and callers on hold, we haven't forgotten you as well. One of our listeners has written in and said, not sure whether or not this subject has been discussed yet. There is an urgent need to provide a proper bus service on Grand Cayman to cut down on the number of cars on our roads. What do I mean by a proper bus service? Well,
since Minister Bryan has stepped out of the studio, can you read that question when he comes back in? But I want to touch on something for crime, so that we don't have to repeat it.
Sure, yeah.
One of the things,
I didn't realize he was out.
One of the things that I want to touch on, and this was one of the things that we put on the census in 2021 that wasn't there in 2010, was the issue of crime. And one of the things that says, that I also want to touch on, it says, of the 1,428 total crimes committed during the last year leading up to Census Day, victims reported 974, or 68.2%, to the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. I want to make one thing clear, OC, because I get a lot of these tips, and when I do pass them on for investigation and for prosecution. I think by now, there can be no argument in terms of where this government stands in terms of crime. But having only 68%, more than 30% of crimes being unreported in this country is not the best way in which for us to do. At the end of the day, the police provides investigation of crimes, and then the DPP goes out and the prosecution. When individuals have these issues or hear of these issues, they have an obligation as good citizens to report it. Coming on the radio and saying that, oh, I hear this one did this and this one did that. We need these things to investigate so we can prosecute, because at the end of the day, we have this no snitch, anti-informer type culture when at the end of the day, one of the first functions that people provided when they created government for thousands of years ago was to protect their life, to protect their liberties, and to protect their properties. At the end of the day, police responds to crime. I mean, luckily if you can catch a crime in action or prevent a crime before that, but it is a response where they investigate and prosecute. So I'm begging the public, please, whenever you see crime, please report it. Because if these people continue to get away with this, it's going to just cascade into something else and something else and something else. But having more than 30% of crimes unreported in this country leading up before Census Day is something completely unacceptable.
Certainly. So, Mr. Bryan, this person is talking about proper bus service, and their definition of it is that but they mean buses that are capable of carrying large numbers of persons between one point and another in a dependable fixed amount of time, so that a person boarding a bus will not need to drive because they will know how long their journey will take. The person says that they reckon that if this were to be the case, at least 3 or 4 out of every 10 cars on our roads could be eliminated. Is there a need for a timetable, they ask? And they say certainly the public must be able to know that every 20 minutes, for example, the number 32 bus will leave, say, East End and will arrive in Georgetown in a set and predictable length of time. Will we need bus lanes? Certainly, they agree with that as well, in order to ensure the length of the journey. Can the present minibuses still have a role? They say yes, by providing transportation to and from the main bus routes. And the person says they hope that this can become a reality. Any comments?
Thank you, O.C.
That was a lot to digest there.
Yeah, it's okay. It's the good information. I want to say, whoever the contributor of that content is, I thank you so much. And they've highlighted some of the realities that most of us every day see. And I agree. That we need to have that. Getting to that point is a different story, because there's a number of factors that need to be considered. For one, we have an established system for transport currently with omnibus and independent users and operators of it, independent operators and owners of the buses. To have something that you can control the timing, the pricing, and obligations needs some legislative change. We also need to do some work with the Honorable Minister for Roads in respect to a dedicated bus lane, because you may think you can control the timeline for persons to get from one point to the other, but if there's not a dedicated bus lane where you can guarantee that bus is going to get from point A to point B to point C to point D on time, it's just not going to be efficient. Hence the reason a holistic analysis and report is being done, that I can go to my team and say, hey, I need this amount of money with these amount of regulations and legislation changes so we can implement it. In respect to the use of omnibuses, are they still necessary? Yes, I think there's going to be a role for them in the future as we transform the transportation system, but it's going to be one under some heavy regulations and not in the attitude and approach that is being done now, which a lot of people are not happy with. So I'll be able, as Minister for Transport, though transport really deals with the licensing of the bus drivers, most of the transportation is actually under the Honourable Minister Ebanks, which deals with the road and DVDL. But we have to work in partnership together to deal with that, and I hope that myself and him collectively can present something to the country within the coming months, potentially before the next budget, where I would need to make my case to my team to say I need X amount of money to deliver a proper transportation system to the people of this country before the end of this term, and that is my goal. It is it's one of my top 3 rocks within the Ministry of Tourism that they need to be focused on. So I don't want to say much more than we recognize. I've talked about it before, highlighting many of the things that the author of that text wrote. But I agree with them, and I thank them so much for their contribution.
Thank you very much, Minister. Let's grab the next call. Sure.
OC, I apologize. I just thought it was important that I add on that a key component for the delivery of a proper transportation system is the east-west arterial. In order for us to allow persons to want to not be in cars, we need to be able to have them get to town where the mean working class is at on a reliable time period. With the smaller arterials, because of the traffic on the other side roads, we'll never get the speed and efficiency that we need. Also, obviously, obviously, we know the East-West Arterial opens up many other opportunities that fall under the Honourable Minister Jay in respect to housing, access to land, and so forth. So while we open up that discussions, we'll have public consultation about where we're going with that, and I look forward to talking to the public about it in the future.
Thank you very much for that, Minister. Let's go to the phone lines again. We want to remind callers, please be as brief as possible, because the ministers want to entertain as many calls, as possible as well. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. O.C., am I on?
Yes, you are.
Hi, morning, Mr. O.C. It's Johanny, and good morning to the three ministers.
Good morning.
Morning, bro.
Three quick questions, gents. First of all, thank you for your efforts. I know you guys are putting in a lot of time. You're hitting the road, and you're really trying to be as effective as possible. I congratulate you all for one, sticking to your plan and also trying to make life better for all of us. You touched on some key points this morning, especially the CUC cost of utilities. I would only beg this of you, Minister Saunders, as the off-reg person responsible, so as the minister responsible for off-reg, the same way that gas prices can jump up and the rising gas prices are the blame for everything. In America, we're seeing a decrease in the overall cost of gas. So hopefully that mindset can find its way to the Cayman Islands, because it's just not fair. We're seeing some significant decreases over the last 2 weeks in the U.S. That should be reflected in the cost here in Cayman. And if they start buying in bulk from now and storing, we should be all right and see some relief. But thank you all for your efforts, and especially for eating that 15 cents at a time where the finances aren't as robust as you'd like, but you're doing everything possible. But my three questions are this. Given your travels, are you contemplating or in discussions, preliminary discussions, of doing away with the visas to Jamaica? One.
Well, I can say it to you right now. I touched on that earlier, and the answer is unequivocally no. It's not being entertained.
Thank you, Minister. Second question is, in light of the importance of the Cayman Islands to the Western Caribbean itinerary for cruise, I know Jamaica is desperate. The Jamaican government is on record as being desperate and saying that they're waiting for Cayman to develop a cruise berthing facility. Is this administration contemplating accommodating that sort of partnership with the Jamaican government? Because we've seen the backlash that a cruise berthing...
Caller, let me be just as quick as my Honourable Deputy Premier and say no. The answer to that is no. We're not going to be building a pier. We did have the opportunity to visit a mobile dock that was a floating dock, and we thought it was important that we go and investigate it. It looked like a great option that has no environmental impact at all, but we had to look at the numbers to see whether I can carry it further to my caucus to discuss. But there will be no development and damage to our environment under this administration.
Appreciate that. Third question is, gents, in light of the headlines where we've seen tourists coming into the Cayman Islands with a loaded gun and getting caught on the way out, is this administration contemplating minimum sentencing guidelines for offenders from abroad? Because for me, it's all about one standard for all. If a Caymanian can be caught with a gun and bullets and face a significant number of years, I'm sorry, that American person or that person from abroad made the willful decision to travel into a jurisdiction with a firearm, and they should face the same consequences, because what happens if that gun was stolen and then it's used in a crime, so on and so forth. I just think that we need to send a message, and I do believe you guys are serious about crime, but there has to be minimum sentencing guidelines, in my opinion, for any gun-related offenses, but also for sexual predators and sexual offenders, because it seems to be a sliding scale as to what goes there. And my last thing would be this.
Caller, I'm going to interrupt you there. We gave you three shots. I'm going to cut you off there because we have to be cognizant of all the other callers that we have as well. Let's try to grab one more call before we go to the break, and then the ministers will have quite a bit to respond to. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, Cap. How are you?
Oh, I'm not pretty good, not too bad. Yeah, I'm glad you got this. Good morning, ministers. I'll try to make this as short as can.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Captain Paul.
Morning.
Yeah, I'm 91 years old. I know my time is not very long, and I have a bombshell to drop on you for over 10 or so years, but nobody will listen to me. I need to make an appointment with all of you the South Community place on Saturday. Any day you please on Saturday would be good. I need to talk to all of you. Nobody will talk to me. I tried to over 15 years because I got a bombshell I need to drop. I'll leave it at that. So thank you. If you're interested, give me, we can make an arrangement to meet. Thank you so much.
Mr. Paul, sorry, we have, well, I don't know if it's fortunate we have no caucus today, but I just did a quick chat with my ministers, and we will come to you after the show. All of us will come to you after the show.
Please do. Please, I wish you would. Thank you.
No, we will, because we have no caucus on Mondays. Normally, Mondays is our busiest day because we have caucus, and then cabinet on Tuesdays, but because we have no caucus today, we have a little bit more flexibility in our schedule, so we'll come see you after the show.
Okay, God bless.
Thank you very much, Captain Paul. We're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware, custom-designed closet and storage solutions, organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
Radio Cayman News.
Investigations are underway this morning after a deadly crash in central Georgetown.
Blaze was called in at 3:33 a.m. at a location on Ellery Marin Drive this morning.
No word yet on the cause of Monday's power outage, affecting several thousand customers in Georgetown.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Before we go back to the phone lines, I want to give all the ministers an opportunity to respond to the various calls that we had before.
Yeah,
Gentlemen.
On the well, you saw the stuff I sent you with regards to the gas price. That's one of the things that we are looking at. Again, my father won't say anything more because I'm not going to give the fuel companies who I know is listening in terms of the strategy that we're employing. All I can say to Mr. Moxham and listening public is that it is something that we are doing. What I can also say to Mr. Moxham, it is an exercise that is not being done by OFREG, but rather an exercise that's being done by Economics and Statistics Office, and I'll leave it at that for right now. With regards to the gun issue, I just want to make one thing clear. Firstly, the law that we have on the book, I think, is clear with regards to some level of minimum sentences with regards to guns and everything else. It is the interpretation of law within the courts
and the discretion that the courts
and
have.
And at this point, I myself nor no elected member can really comment and constitutionally on the workings of the court. That's a complete separate branch of government, and the Constitution don't allow us to get into that. Our job is to pass laws, and their job is to basically interpret them and carry it out with the DPP prosecuting. police investigating and the courts carrying it out. The police, as you know, is constitutional responsible, is the governor's remit. Constitutionally falls under Section 55 of the Constitution. The DPP is an independent body, and also the court is an independent branch. So outside the elected government, now I think, there's some laws we definitely would like to see tightened in this country in that regard. But I want to touch on one thing, OC. And this, again, comes back to the culture of crime. One of the very first motions that I took after being elected was to actually increase the penalty with regards to child molesters. I actually did that around 2018. I think it was going into the summer months of 2018. And I remember it for one reason. When we had put that stuff out for public discussion, I had maybe around 15, no more than 20 responses or feedback from the public with regard to strengthening the legislation for child molesters. And that was a motion that was seconded by Tony Eden at the time. Then there was another issue in terms of the free airtime with regards to World Cup football coming up. OC, I had over 400 responses of people more concerned about the over-the-air free games World Cup than we did for child. And that was something that, I will say this much, and the fact that I can still remember and I speak about it today, was something that was quite disheartening, that I had more people that would reach out to me concerning the free games for World Cup football and, the lack of TV issues and all that kind of stuff, and to make sure that the game that should have been free be free, as opposed to tightening the laws on child molestation. And again, I want to say to the listening public and those that are out there that are watching, we cannot allow ourselves to become desensitized to crime in this country. The minute we become desensitized to it, it is going to grow and it's going to become a problem within our society. Whenever we see crime, whenever we see stuff happening, please report it. We have an 800 tips line. I'm begging the members of the public, please use the number. The police need the support, and the other government agencies that also investigate and prosecute need your support. We cannot do this if people do not report the crime to us.
Okay, one of our listeners said that the mention of freedom of movement, and that our panelists are saying that there's no restriction, and they want to know what is a travel declaration if that is not a restriction of freedom of movement.
No, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, and Minister Bryan said, there's no restrictions for anyone to leave this country. No, we do have, and again, Minister Bryan will probably touch on that later on in terms of the whole travel Cayman regime, even though it's something that's under my remit. But there are some changes or possible changes that may be coming, but again, it has not been approved by Cabinet yet at this point. And as ministers, we're all bound by collective responsibility in terms of what the decisions we make. But at the end of the day, just so we're clear, we can limit, and the Constitution is clear also too, that, for public health reasons and different reasons, that in the best interest of the public, we can have to make the decisions that we basically have to make. But in terms of people leaving this country or going from one district to the next or whatever, no one needs government permission for that, unless it's a public health situation where you have to basically be quarantined in the best interest of the public. So despite, and listen, OC, politics is what it is, and I've accepted that. But it is also irresponsible when people want to go and basically recognize, again, as I said before, thousands of years when people came up with the concept of putting in some level of government, it was to protect their life, their liberty, and their property. But recognize at the end of the day, your liberties cannot come at the expense of the greater good. Mm-hmm. If you are armed to public society, if you have an infectious disease, the Constitution and common sense is clear that we have a responsibility to protect the public at large. Despite whatever people want to think. It's not, I know people, of course, the ones who will be subject to it would have an issue with it, but it is our responsibility. The greater good must prevail. And at the end of the day, I can tell you, regardless of what it is that people want to think, and I want to say this much, and people may take it the wrong way, but at the end of the day, Chris is still Chris. We are politicians. We work for voters. It's that simple. And if anyone out there think that any politicians or any of my colleagues are going to be doing something for people who can't vote in this country as opposed to people who vote. We ain't that stupid. We're not sitting here because we're that stupid. You understand? And I can tell you straight up, I go where my voters tell me to go. Because that's who I work for. I refer to my good people in Bontown West as my bosses.
Okay, let's grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Please be brief.
Yes, O.C.
Good morning.
Yes, not too bad. Getting in there. Good morning to the ministers or your panel. You know, very brief. O.C., these are the questions I guess, or I want to ask the ministers of infrastructure and finance. What's the status of the police station in Cayman Brac? And what will be, in your term in office, your solution to solving the problem? And also to the Minister of Tourism and Transport, to supply Cayman with the competent and trustworthy drivers in the Cayman Islands when it comes to driving tourism and local people. Some screening need to be gone in whoever is allowed to drive those buses on the road. If you do not do that, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Mary, Jean, and Sue will be driving buses in Cayman in the next 2 years. If you open up this place to tourism or have this inter-island connection with tourists moving from place to place, if you don't do the proper screening on who drives those buses and making sure that whoever drives those buses has enough information and knowledge about the Cayman Islands, you're on the wrong track.
Got you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll wait for your response.
Thank you very much, caller. We're going to squeeze one more caller in, take the commercial break, and then when we return, we give the ministers an opportunity to respond. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Please be brief.
Good morning, Mr. Osni. Sorry, I got cut off early when I was the first one on, so I don't know what happened, but we got to blame it on our teleprovider, Flo, that they cut it off. I hope it wasn't you that cut it off. But I need to address Mr. Saunders, Minister Saunders there about the people coming in. I'm not talking about their visas from Jamaica, or because all the countries that need visas should all be in place. So I'm not meaning about visas. I am meaning that the companies that are going through the loopholes, and OC is, like I told my friend here, that OC, who is now a retired chief immigration officer with a lot of experience, he's been there. I think that OC now needs to pick up that role back on a contract to be border control, to show them what to do. Now, OC, that's your job. Because I'm sorry to say it, but the people that are scrutinizing it, I don't know whether it's personal interest, what it is, but they're not doing, in my opinion, not doing a good job with that. Because, and Chris Saunders is saying that it's the people that are coming in by boats that we are worried about. Yes, we are worried about them. But we're also coming in by air, because we got a lady that just went out through the port with a loaded ammunition. Did she come by boat or she came by plane? And we had the police officer that had to be extradited from here, who was charged for murder in Jamaica. Did he come by boat or he came by plane? So we can't close one boat. We can't watch one door, because when the fox go out, the hens are all roaming. So now we got to keep our eyes. Are we just plain blind, or do people say plain blind and deaf to some things, or we got a head on our shoulders because we thought that we elected supposed to be well-educated Caymanians. We didn't elect no foreigners. Right now our law says, our constitution says that you have to be some form of Caymanian. I don't think a status can now apply to run for election. So we appointed generation Caymanians, whether by birth or some form. So we need to wake up these people. And as I said, the love of money is the root of all evil. And not the money, the love of money. And we've seen enough loopholes. I say OC has very good experience in that field. So I think you guys, while I got him on the horse right there, and need to tie him down and need to get him back.
Too old for that. Anyway, caller, I want to thank you. Thank you very much for that. We're going to take the commercial break, then give the ministers an opportunity to respond to all of the comments that were made. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the beer.
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
60 and bossy with J and money. Win a trip it easy, trust me. Yeah. Come on, just send some money. A instant entry. Look how you're lucky. Bossy, J and money, bossy. J and money, send you go a yard. Scene, bossy. Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy. We well proudy.
Celebrate Jamaica 60 with J and money for a chance to win a dream vacation for two to Jamaica, including airfare, resort stay, and more. Send money for a chance to win. Your loved ones will also be entered for a chance to win a brand new car. Competition runs from now until December 24th. J and money 60 and bossy enough.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at J and Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy.
No J and bank account required.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road. 89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Miss Susan, how many calls do we have left? 2 calls. Okay, we're going to put those 2 calls on hold. We will take those. Those are going to be the final. You want to take them? We're going to take those 2 callers now. Those are going to be the final 2 calls for the morning because the ministers still have other stuff that they want to cover as well. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rambo speaking.
How are you doing, Rambo?
Well, right here, still in talk, man. Let's wait my judgment that everything fulfilled in optimistic, in a positive assurance, self-assurance. Listen, to the guests, though, right, the politicians, the MPs, right? If I'm aware, right, September last year, right, when I did a 2-year strategic plan, right? And irrespective of that, you got to mention the decarbonization of Hertz, right? And always everywhere elsewhere, right? Superlatively, the utmost degree. All the regional countries, international countries, surpassing it. You feel me? So I don't know why it's so difficult to validate this and approve this. If you see from my perspective, you see what I'm saying, right? Because September, I'll repeat myself. September, a 2-year strategic strategy plan, right? To decarbonize it, right? Last year, Uncle Everson and Ida Brock, we campaigned for that. Obviously, to legalize, right? Because we're in a contemporary era. You feel me? So I don't know what it's talking about now in Hitchin. And then the chastise no bother, or preachers no bother, but everybody have their own lifestyle. You know, and that it's a norm, it's a recognizable thing. And last thing I say now, food security. I hope Sister Ireland and Grand Cayman, acres of land, utilize it for food security. Right? We don't need a ration if a hurricane comes here. You know, it's not that be the last resort, but utilize it. Food security. That be the priority right now. You hear me clearly?
Yes, we are.
All right, gentlemen, have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rambo. You take care as well. Last caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Am I on?
Yes, you are, Billy. Go right ahead.
Thanks very much. Good morning, Minister. It's good to be able to listen to you this morning. 2 points I want to make. First of all, I just want to push back a little bit on Minister Saunders' statement about criticizing the judiciary. I know that is something that you want to avoid when a case is sub judice. It's being decided. But once a decision has been made, you as government can come in and make a statement and criticize the decision of a judge if you think it is wrong after it has been decided upon. And if you feel that there is any legislative change that is needed to respond to that, you should be able to do that. And I just feel that in the Cayman Islands, the problem is that the judiciary, in my view, to some degree has run amok because not enough of that is happening. But second and last point, I just want to push forward a little bit the point made by Johan. The firearms law is very clear. Minimum sentence for unlawful possession, 10 years. But if there are extenuating circumstances, it should be 7 years. There is no provision in that law which allows you to just impose a fine or any of those less sentences, which has been done for tourists. Okay? That is unlawful. A judge who does that is being corrupt. He is acting in deliberate defiance of the law, and he is guilty of corruption under Section 13 of the anti-corruption law and a whole slew of other sections under the Penal Code. What has resulted now is that the tourists are not paying the costs of coming in with firearms, which are unlawful, and you are in the end imprisoning your own young people, 18, 19 years old. They are the ones who go for that minimum 7 and 10 years. The tourists are not doing that, and I think Mr. Moxham made a very valid point. You need to look at that and discipline judges who are deliberately violating the law. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Billy. Okay, gentlemen.
Okay, let me just touch on one thing clear with regards against the court, so there's no misunderstanding. There is a process that if the DPP is unsatisfied with a particular ruling, that there is an appeal process. So not because a judgment has been made in the first instance doesn't mean that there may not be an appeals process. And again, I will say this to anyone listening. The last thing anybody in this country wants is the politicians or elected people getting in the business of the courts. That is one of the reasons why we do have the separation of powers. Now, I don't think it would be irresponsible of anyone in the government or on the executive side or the legislative side to comment on something that, while there may have been a first initial response, the DPP, the process can still be ongoing in the sense that if the DPP is unsatisfied with the ruling, the DPP can also appeal. So while you may have that initial statement or initial judgment, it does not mean the process still can't remain live to some extent. So again, and I will say this, there are different ways in terms of dealing with certain things, but getting into trying to undermine the court and then using the term corrupt for the judge, I'm going to tell you right now, that's the kind of language that we try to avoid. I mean, I do not have all the facts. I mean, you can only go by what is reported in the newspapers, and if anything has been proven, sometimes newspapers themselves don't always get it right. But to use the term of referring to a judge in the Cayman Islands as being corrupt, it is something that I cannot defend and I can't support.
Well, OC, I think it's important that we acknowledge the point of the initial caller, which is the concern that
rightfully so. It is a rightful
justice.
It is a rightful.
Right. There may be two sets of rules for different people.
And you don't want that to be disseminated within our community. I sometimes worry about the minor things of that myself, or major things of that myself. But I think what the Honourable Deputy Premier is trying to display to the country is that as the government, we have a way of handling that. Yes. The public also has an opportunity to write directly to the government as the controlling majority of the parliament. that if we find it fit or we feel that the intended legislation is not being carried out the way it should be carried out in respect to the courts, that we can rewrite the laws in a way where it's mandatory. Stuff like that can be done, but it's important for stability that there's a good working relationship between the executive and the judiciary. So we would never try to undermine them in that way. Behind closed doors, is there something that we need to talk about? Is this a concern? We can, the Honorable Premier can say, listen, can we see the circumstances as to why the cases are currently like that in respect to the data? And if we come to the conclusion that there's something not right here or we're not happy with it, we can make the changes. That's what we're trying to say. Sure. But right, the public has that right to voice their concerns, and if I'll encourage anybody out there who feels uncomfortable with that, write to us, write to the Honorable Deputy Premier, write to the whole of the Cabinet and the Premier about this matter, as well as write to the Governor, bearing in mind he's the top of the ranks in respect to overseeing all of these things. Quickly, if I could say, OC, in respect to the comment, I'm going to try to deal with the comments that reflect mainly on us. And in respect to the holistic comments, I would ask the Honorable Deputy Premier, being our leader in this room right now, to respond to the ones that seem to be more of a caucus matter. So in respect to the public buses screening, I do accept the caller's viewpoint on that. There is screening processes now. It's not about background and ability to drive buses, but more cultural norms and behavioral habits. And even when they start to get in the way of the driving and what people expect from public bus drivers, what we do recognize also is the legislation and regulation is limited on the penalties that the bus public transport unit can do. So hence the reason why there's an overview look of to reform the whole thing. Not only new buses, new system, whether it's under a department or authority, but new regulation, new legislation. So it's going to be a holistic change altogether. And once that is formulated and I got my colleagues agree to it, then I can publicly explain what this new vision is going to be like. In respect to the caller, and I know the Honorable Deputy Premier responded to this already, but I think it's just important that I soften things a little bit, because the caller called back about, of course, the people who come by plane also are important from a security standpoint. He did not say that they're not important. He said the risk is a lot higher for those by boat. Right. But I think the caller was talking about her concern in respect to people who come here on a tourist visa permit and then get a job. And whether the boards and the administrators of work permits are looking into the background of this to say, well, what does your immigration status say right now before I approve this? And I agree with her that if that happens, that shouldn't happen. And if she's aware of particular companies that are doing that, the Honorable Deputy Premier said they will definitely penalize those or investigate them to see if the facts are correct. So I want to give her that comfort. In respect to the Kimmerbrook Police Station, I think that question is mainly for the Honorable Minister for Kimmerbrook, who's also in charge of lands. There has been some dispute in respect to that area for the caller. I know him personally, and I really hope that he has written in his formal position to the government or through the police so we can address this. I think there's some level of a case there that we're all aware of for decades have been the case. I just don't think there's anything been formal. I know that government has done some demolishing of the station as in being condemned because it wasn't structurally sound, but I would like to see that resolved too. So if he wants to call me separately to see whether or not maybe if he has formally written in and the documents haven't gotten where they need to get to, I can help facilitate that, because he's a Braca like myself and I love him very much and I want to support him. In respect to Rambo, I'm not going to talk too much about the marijuana decriminalization. I'll let our leader in the room right now in respect to the Deputy Premier respond to that. But Rambo, it's really good to hear your voice. I hope you're doing okay, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side soon. It's good to hear you, my brother. Take care of yourself.
Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
JN Money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning, and despite the fact that we're not taking any more calls, you want to continue to listen because the ministers, they certainly have some very important things to still talk about and to at least touch on in terms of announcements as well. Deputy Premier, over to you.
Yeah, I just want to thank Rambo for raising that issue. First of all, we did commit in our strategic policy statement last July when we issued it. So just a little over a year ago when we put out our strategic policy statement, we included decriminalization of ganja inside it. What I can say is that it has been something that has been dominating our caucus of late. And I think that there will be an announcement coming out shortly on it in terms of the direction that the country will be going. And I will leave it at that in that regard because, again, we have not finalized. Mm-hmm. But what I can say is that based on what we have agreed in our strategic policy statement, it is something that we're committed to do. But I want to make one caveat here. The decriminalization of ganja versus the legalization of ganja are two different issues. So while the government would be looking at decriminalizing ganja, legalizing a whole different conversation altogether. So I just want to put that out there. But what I can say is that a announcement in terms of the direction that we'll be taking will be coming out shortly in that regard. In terms of the Chief Immigration Officer, you're coming back to do that. What I want to say right now is that we have, as much as I would like, and OC and I have had this conversation many times in terms of what it is we can grab him. He has been, I would say, a dedicated public servant even in his retirement. OC is a member of the Business Staff and Plan Board. It is the board that is tasked with looking at the bigger companies that deal with 15 or more work permits. And that's the one that's chaired by Richard Barton, Deputy Chair, Don McLean's son, I believe, yes, and other, I would say, competent members on that board. And I can say that this board, that board and other boards in government enjoy the full confidence of the government at this time in terms of carrying out the mandate that we want in that regard. And it's kind of, and also OC is also a member of the Refugee Protection Appeals Tribunal also in that regard. So OC does continue to provide service. But it's kind of rather ironic, OC, is that I remember last February there was a headline in the one of the local newspapers that said 10,600 work permits deferred, or I don't want to quote it. I don't want to misquote it. Let me tell you exactly what it said. We basically said 10,600 work permits deferred over last 10 months. I remember the amount of public outcry that came from people within the community for that position when the headline was there. And what I want to say to my people is that when the government do make these decisions and the special interest groups and everyone come crying, those are the times in which you also need to let your voices be heard to say to the government, you know what? This is about, we're happy with either what you're doing or happy with what not you're doing. Because what we find is that people have a tendency most of the time to speak about things that they're unhappy about. But equally, we need to speak about things that we are happy about. Now, for us, it's about a matter of finding that balance. I mean, labor is an issue. I mean, our goal first and foremost is to ensure that our people are given first opportunities. And that is why it is important within companies and within organizations and the public as a whole that whenever you see people abusing our work permit system, abusing our laws, we need for you to report them. My number has remained the same, and I'll put it out there in the public. It's 926-2804. If you don't want anything, you can call me, WhatsApp me, and tell me about when these crimes are being committed, because I can tell you one of the things that we are focusing on right now in the Department of Work is to get the system automated so that it could be online or a better database, but also it frees up other personnel to focus more on compliance. Because we're talking about 20,000 work permits and a staff complement that is very small. And now we get into this growing the size of government, people then complain about government spending too much or government becoming too big. Our job is to become more efficient in that regard. So I'm begging again, we also have these anonymous lines in terms of work where you can report these issues, and I'm begging you, please, to report them. Mr. Bryan.
See, before we go into closing remarks as well as the last little announcement, I think that there was one other matter. I tried to make sure that we all answer all the concerns that were brought up. There was one about food security by Mr. Rambo. Maybe the Honorable Minister can you can speak to that quickly.
Yeah, the food security was something that we spoke about very first as we first started the show. But food security is a very big topic here for us as a government, and I can guarantee you that there is stuff that is rolling out right now in the first phases of it that we'll be dealing with. And one of the things was the land lease policy, where we can get the land to get people out there. Our egg strategy policy is just about ready to go, where we actually think we can, once we start to roll it off, we should be able to sustain ourselves with about 30 to 40% of eggs right off the bat. We're making the investment into those egg farmers right now, and that should be ready to roll out very shortly. The merchants, all the supermarkets have been on board, so the labeling, the processing is all exactly how they want it. It's going to be a unique thing. When you see it, you'll know it. It's a product of Cayman, and it's one of the first starts with us with that. When it comes to food security, but also I know we didn't have time to. There's so many other things to talk about. There's a lot more into agriculture that I wanted to speak about. There's definitely so much more into housing that we wanted to touch base off, and then also planning, that we have so much things happening in there that we want to talk about too. I don't know. You'll get back to us because I definitely would love to come back and show you the ways there.
One day this week again. Yes,
to come back to talk about all of these stuff that we have rolling forward, and as Minister Bryan did talk about tourism also.
But technically speaking, we're all independent members, so should we be getting independent? The government is looking independent.
So we should take one day.
We should actually be independent.
But there's a lot of stuff that we have happening in there, and especially I just want to touch quickly on planning. I know, when I first spoke about planning in the House, I told people that it had to get harder before it would get better, and we have actually reached the hardest part of the planning right now. And I can tell you the light is at the end of the tunnel. Mr. Haroon is working very diligent, very good. Then my new Chief Officer, Eric Bush, they're all on top of it. They're moving forward with it and getting it done very shortly. I can see the streamline of planning actually moving a lot quicker, a lot faster. Building inspections will be moving quicker. When we get into the BRAC, we'll have an independent planner for the BRAC also. So I told the BRAC I wouldn't coming back until I had that announcement to make for them and to bring their new inspector back with them. So when we go back there, they will have their own independent inspector so that their economy can move at the pace that they wanted it to move. So there's a lot more that we have to impact, but I don't want to take up all of it. But one thing I just want to know in my closing remarks, I had a fantastic back to school on Saturday. And I have to thank my wife for putting that on. She did an awesome job. And my office assistant, Shanae, they did a great job.
You never call your wife name? Doesn't say wife name. You call your officer, you never call your wife name. I'm trying to save you.
Okay, I'll call my wife name, Feliciana. But she did a great job for me, a phenomenal job. As usual, anything she does, she always does her best into it. And so she doesn't get the credit all the time because I usually take the credit. So I just want to make sure that she knows, everybody knows that she did a great job. We catered to 150 kids. We sold out everything that was gone. But what I want to do, make sure, is that if there's any kids out there that didn't get a backpack, that needs one, just reach out back to me to give me a call, 916-4249, or they can reach out at my office number, 938-3724, and we'll make sure that they get the necessary stuff that they need to go back to school with. So we did, there was a few that we were a little bit short of, but we've guaranteed that we will have those packs for those kids this week. And I do thank my team that actually worked along. My team is, I call them the A-team, and I could not have been here in the seat today without them. They do so much work for me, and I don't want to call them out by name because they're I just want to keep them very quietly, but they are one of the best working teams that I could ever find to work with. And guys, I thank you a lot. I need to just publicly keep saying it because you all do so much in the community for us. And I do deeply down from my heart. I really appreciate everything that my group does for me in Northside.
Excellent.
Thank you all.
Okay.
OC, in interest of time, we got 4 minutes left, so I'm going to try to be as quick as possible.
I don't need no closing. You can have all of it.
Okay. I want to say that obviously I challenge you in that respect of having the best team available, because my team in Georgetown Central is also pretty awesome, but I know yours is equal to mine, if I can say that. I also like to just highlight the fact that I'm having a back to school initiative as well for my constituency of Georgetown Central, and anybody who's interested or need supplies, they can call my office numbers at 924-3010 or 936-4040. Again, 924-3010 or 936-4040. OC, the important point I wanted to bring up before closing is that as Minister of Tourism and in respect to travel in and out of the Cayman Islands from a tourism perspective, the COVID regulations continue to be a factor in our success or lack thereof. And the industry is constantly evolving and changing in the new COVID regulations and the environment. As a result, the cruise industry and CDC in the United States have changed up their regulations in allowing persons to travel who are not vaccinated. As a result, I brought this concern to my colleagues, saying, listen, our current regs may potentially hurt us in a little bit in the coming weeks as a result of our stringent protocols to mandate persons to be vaccinated to come to the Cayman Islands. As a result, we have all accepted that this reality is coming, and though it's not approved yet through the final processes within the government and through cabinet, I'm happy to say that we are almost there now, finalizing the changes and the removal of the main components that have to do with COVID that restrict travel. For instance, the travel document, Travel Cayman, as well as making it the removal of it. You have to be vaccinated in order to come to the Cayman Islands, which are the two main components left. We have said, though, that we are still of the view that merchants who own their own businesses and certain facilities should still be obligated under the law to tell you, listen, we want you to wear a mask, particularly like, say, for instance, the hospital, the police detention centers, the prisons, and the Pines, old people's homes, and so forth. Because though COVID has reduced tremendously, it's still a severe problem. So we're almost there, and I hope that within the coming days that we can potentially the Honorable Premier through his office and through the Honorable Minister of Health can send out a press release saying that it has been supported and accepted, but I just giving you the foundation from here that as a caucus we have discussed it, we recognize it, and the main emphasis of it is because we want to make sure our tourism numbers continue to get back to where they were. OC, I think today's show was spectacular. I think that you can see and the public can see that we are committed to coming back on later this week and discuss more.
And you can tell that they're anxious to hear from you as well and to converse with you.
Well, what we're going to encourage persons to do is, because we want to answer those questions as quickly as possible, that what we should do in the future is just be prepared and be concise to your questions, because what we do is we write down all the questions. We can take 3 at a time, write them down, listen to you quite clearly, and then respond fast. And that means that I checked it out today. We got through 10 calls, and we would like to see if we can triple that up. And how we do that is more efficiency in respect to the questions, as we're going to be more informative. So we look forward to being with you either Wednesday or potentially Friday, where we can talk a little bit more about the things to do with the Honorable Minister for Housing and some of the other matters that came up in respect to the Deputy Premiers and some other matters within caucus. It was truly a pleasure to be here. OC, God bless you, and God bless the Cayman Islands. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Minister, for being here as well. I just want to say in relation to the COVID situation that though there are people who are still responsible, especially mature adults, some people up in age, who you don't have to ask or to tell them to wear a mask. They know that it is for their safety.
Yes,
I mean, you and I were at a function yesterday. There were no requirements,
and
but
everyone
was wearing their mask. So sensible people are still knowing, what is good for them and what isn't good for them. Deputy Premier, you want to say something?
Just to piggyback on what Minister Bryan said a while ago, one of the things that we may do as a format, because seeing again that we're all independent, so technically we can probably get the independent day, is that maybe just have a segment where we just basically just take calls from the public. We may just be easier that way. So what we can probably do, I know Minister Jay is anxious to speak about the whole housing situation and everything else, and we also do have a meeting later on today, I think it's 11 o'clock this morning, on the housing situation
and don't
again.
Forget Captain Paul, you got to go.
Yeah, we're going right there now. But one of the things, also for my constituent, just to get a little bit of my housekeeping out of the way, is that thanks everyone who had responded. We over the weekend we got the bags packed and everything, so I will be starting my personal home delivery this evening. I'm actually looking forward to that because I like seeing the kids, so I'll be out there this evening starting the delivering. So hopefully I can get it. I should be able to get all of it done this week. The family's back on Thursday, so I want to get everything back before the family gets back, so I can get some time with my kids for over the summer. But I just want to thank everyone, OC, and also thank you for having us this morning, and also for my colleagues for coming on. But like I said, we are committed to being the team and package for transparent. And again, we're here to serve the public. We're here to take any questions. And again, it's always good to have these forums, because we do recognize at the end of the day that the media and the special interest, being what it is, can report what it is that they want. So sometimes the best that people can hear from us directly, as opposed to what someone else who heard what we said and decided to interpret it, or they want to interpret and put it like that way in the public. I just want to tell everyone to have a blessed week. Stay safe on the roads. Remember, COVID is still out there and everything else. And God bless, and we'll see you again later this week.
Okay, and folks, I echo the Deputy Premier's last comments in relation to that. And I just want to remind you that you can join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman.